foreign show. We'll be seeing you on that foreign show. We'll be seeing you. We'll be seeing you every Friday here at TFS. That foreign show. We'll be seeing you on that foreign show. We'll be seeing you. We'll be seeing you every Friday.
ADR Networks presenta.
This is Celestine Angel.
And I'm Isaac Crouch.
And this is...
Foreign Show!
On that foreign show.
Yes, y'all. This is That Foreign Show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, races, places, wherever you're at. Welcome to the show. All right, my name is Isaac Rakesh, and I'm on ADR Networks, activating your senses. All right, today we're gonna kick things off in the insider segment, and we're gonna talk about something funky. Funky. All right, this is a show. All right, by a good friend of ours, FMAC. All right, he is playing live 18th of March in Mexico City. All right, at La Piedad. All right, La Piedad is in Insurgente Sur. We're gonna flash the poster up for you guys. This is a place where you can actually go and listen to live music. Now, I was looking at the page. All right, there are lots of bands that come through this place. All right, it's actually one of those cool spots where you go to listen to live music. It's kind of focused on that, you know. In fact, it says so in the name, La Piedad Live Music. So you actually go to this place to, yeah, that's the poster right there. Yeah, that's FMAC. Now, FMAC is was a contestant on The Voice, La Voz, Mexico. Hello, Celeste.
Hi, guys.
All right, welcome to the show.
So you go on ahead and tell them about FMAX events. Basically, there is also another link to get the pre-ventas.
Yes. So basically, it's tickets. We want you guys to go ahead and buy some tickets. Get these tickets. The pre-venta is 200. Evento is 400. All right. That is if you wait until the actual moment of the show to buy the tickets.
Mm-hmm. So right now the pre-venta is going on, so that's why we are introducing it at the moment, because it's actually in a few weeks' time.
Yes.
Not yet. But right now, if you buy, you can get it at 200. But on the day itself, it's 400. And Ricardo, if you could put the yeah, he did. So right below, we see the address.
Yes, right
That
here,
is
Insurgente Sur, 585.
No, that one, the wegao.com. That's the place to get the pre-venta.
To get the tickets. Yeah, sorry. To get the tickets, you go to www.wegao.com. And the link is right there. Click the link, go in and get your tickets for the show, which is happening on the 18th of March. All right. So this show, I've been to FMAX shows, and they are funky as hell for sure. Right? Full energy. You know what I mean? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a great time for you and your friends to come on down to the show. All right. So that is the insider segment. That's the information that we want you to have this week to capitalize on. Right? Capitalize to actually get your tickets early. Right? Get your tickets early so that you get them before they sold out. Basically. Yeah.
Right. FX shows are always really fun. He's a very funny character, and he's got an awesome voice. So
Yes.
it's a real show. Like,
A real show.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah, and he was the semi-finalist for on La Voz
Mm.
2020 or 2021. Can't remember. Sorry.
Mm.
If I'm not wrong, we will check and we will update you guys on the Facebook video.
Yes,
Mhm.
FMAC. Big shout out to FMAC and the band. His band, the guys, we know the guys too, the musicians, all on point, dope stuff. Go check them out. Go check them out.
Yeah, and FMAC, just to give you some background about him, he is from Haiti. So he speaks fluently French, Spanish is he's really good as well, and yeah, of course English. And we will be inviting him for a show soon. So we will let you know when he's going to come on. But like I said, funny character. We love him a lot.
Yep.
You guys will love him as well. Yeah, and in the next segment, so for today's show,
Yes.
we are going to have Chris.
Chris.
Chris, whose family name is China, which is already going to be confusing because Chris is actually French, and also his family. Okay, so he's French because he was born in France, but his family was originally from Benin, and we were clueless
That's
about
the country beside Nigeria, right?
okay, now like try to act like we know. So yeah, we had no idea
Yeah.
about
Unfortunately.
about this country actually because like when he first mentioned it, I actually thought it was like, was it some part in France or something? Yeah. Sorry for our cluelessness, but we are always honest with with our lack of general knowledge, basically. So, but Benin, like ever since getting more information from Chris, I have read up a little bit, and I realized that initially it was called Dahomey, which it's a name that I've heard of.
The homie.
Hmm. Yeah, like maybe watching some movies or something.
Mhm.
But it's from what we know, a nation in Africa that was originally a French colony, so they speak French. So he spoke French since from his family's from his in his family as well. So
Mhm.
and he's here in Mexico, working for an international company,
Right.
and actually a Dutch one,
Yes.
doing something really cool. It's
Basically, they look. They look for investments, right? It's a company that looks for investments, but very specific kind of investments, and also with an angle towards social improvement.
yes, like the key requirement is that the okay, actually, so he I'm not going to say everything,
Yeah.
so we can actually talk to him later.
Yes.
But like he was explaining to us how the criteria for him is to look for projects that are already working on creating an impact, like on pollution or whatnot, societal stuff. So and he's excited about how he can like affect change while doing business, like putting both his interests together. And yeah, well,
Well, there's a few questions we have. I had, not anymore, but I'm sure you guys will. Chris China, we wanna ask him what's up with China, as in
yeah, we want to ask him about it.
how that came about. Very interesting. All right.
Uh-huh.
And also want to find out, a bit more about this. Like basically, like today's episode says, it's about looking at the positive impact that these investments or these companies can have, or more specifically, what this company is actually trying to do, right? Trying to do in South America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are based
he is specifically working for the Latin American continent, and in general, he's actually just looking at microfinancing companies.
Yeah, microloan. It's companies that are giving out microloan.
Yeah, we were making jokes also while we were talking to him about like how finance nothing here. So we were waiting for him so he
Explain.
can like talk about the real stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, a few things of what we chatted about, at least just to get a rough idea. It was really interesting. I mean, like if you're looking at companies or if you're looking at trying to impact, so a positive, trying to have a positive social impact, then investments or where money goes and how growth happens is, I guess, super crucial. Especially if you're looking at a few years down the line, and things like that. So these are the things that we want to talk about with Chris
Mhm.
when he comes into the studio.
I think Chris is already backstage.
He's
So
backstage. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
we can let him
He can
in,
hear us.
guys. Rick, could you let Chris in?
Welcome.
All right, we're waiting for Chris to come on. Christopher China.
Yes. He says, "I am here." I can see that.
Yeah. So, okay, he's waiting behind, guys. Let him in. Okay, never mind. I will write
Get the
here.
chat. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, so as we're waiting for Chris, um, yeah, okay. Chris is asking questions. Yeah, no, we can't see you
Yeah, we
yet.
can't see you yet.
We're waiting for production to let you in. Yeah, but basically, like the thing that he's doing is to look for investments in microfinancing companies, and like this thing about microfinancing is also really interesting to get into, because like they help like SMEs that can't get a loan. And I think that, I mean, obviously they're choosing which companies they feel like they could help most. And like for on Chris's part, he's specifically looking for companies that can make an impact, I guess a large impact. And he's particularly focused on the developing countries, and that's why we think he's here in Latin America, because there are a lot of developing countries over here. Yeah, and that's really such a cool thing to get into. So we would like to be
Even the
educated
whole
like more about this as well.
microfinancing thing is really interesting, right? Like because you're talking about people who can't really afford to possibly get loans, right? And then we're giving them, I guess, giving them some options. And I'm not very sure exactly how it works. Like how do the institutions guard their risk, right? I mean, like how do microloans actually differ from normal loans? But what I am aware is that in the developing countries like India and these microloans have actually made a huge impact in village communities or in smaller groups of people where they are looking to improve or looking to set up a business, but they don't really have collateral, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, this is what we want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like something that really, I mean, that it's actually helping, the communities.
Yes, and Chris says totally right.
Okay, so I'm not sure why production hasn't
Yeah.
let him in yet. Usually they're like, yeah, they let him in like, they let our guests in like real quick, but I don't know what's happening.
Eric,
Um,
por favor.
yeah, so, yeah, but Chris is agreeing with what we're saying.
What we're saying, yeah, he's just totally right. Okay, so let's just do the interview like this then. I mean,
For
it's,
now.
it's like behind a virtual wall thing.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe,
So how
maybe
did-
Rick went to the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, now Chris is putting a smiley face. Okay.
Yeah, so imagine if okay, so Chris, how does it work? No. Okay.
No. Yeah,
We're gonna
no,
ask
no,
you
no.
at least
I'm
yes.
very sure you're coming in soon. If not, I'll give a call. I don't know what's happening. Let me try to explain. Oh, he's trying to explain. Okay, by
Well, we are trying to make things easy by asking you yes or no questions,
Questions, yeah.
right? So yes,
Yeah.
but no, but I mean, on a serious note, let him in. Let him
Please let him in. We can't survive that long. We're like talking about finance by ourselves, like we are
Microfinancing.
artists.
Well, there's one the one the one thing that I one video, actually it's a video that I saw about microfinancing, and it was with regards to a female in India who was running she was running a business, right? And the business was, I forgot what it actually was, something to do with like cleaning or janitorial service, something like that. And with trying to get people involved in sort of joining her business. So she engaged a microfinancing situation with the bank, right?
Okay.
And that was, I think, actually a normal bank. I mean, in what we are used to, but like a HSBCs or whatever. And they actually had a microfinancing kind of department or something at that time. But this was a few years ago. In fact, it was quite some time ago when I saw this video. So I'm not sure how that has changed. And also, I'm sure people would like to know, Chris, like, if I have a business idea, right, and I want to get it off the ground, and I need some funds, and I'm looking to borrow some funds, should we go the micro loan route or the normal route, and what's the difference? Like,
Yeah, I remember Chris mentioned yesterday that like if the microfinance companies are charging too high percentage,
Mhm.
he's not going to go for that as
His
well
company would
because
not be.
the point is to help.
Mm.
Yeah, so okay, that's interesting because then you're asking if you do have collateral, if you do have like the credentials that the banks would allow you to take loans.
Mhm.
Should you go for the bank option or should
Yeah.
you go for the microfinancing options? Like we have no idea about this.
Yes.
Okay, he said correct. I don't know
Correct.
to which point. Oh my god, guys, what's happening? Production. Let
All right.
Chris in. Let Chris in.
Let Chris in. Eric, let Chris in. Yo, Rick, let Chris in.
What happened? Chris disappeared. I mean, Eric disappeared.
He says, should he get out and enter again?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't-
actually, just
yeah,
just
no,
wait
I don't
there,
think so. Yeah, I think you should stay there.
and I'm gonna give Eric a call right now.
Yeah, we're gonna give a call. This is very strange. It never happens.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, and like in relation to like being here in developing country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are you calling? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, which one is who should I call? I don't see Rick's number here.
This one.
All right. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah,
We-
but
we
I mean,
mentioned-
there's no point. I need to ask Chris those questions. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my question, maybe like when Chris comes in, he can answer.
Uh-huh.
It's like because he works with developing countries, so I would also like to know like what are his thoughts on like Mexico as a developing country, like what it's like over here compared to like other developing countries and that kind of thing, because like we have been, I mean, Singapore, our country, is surrounded by developing countries, and like when we are in Malaysia, it kind of feels like here in Mexico, but then you have parts of Mexico that are completely like Singapore as well, which is, Singapore is like really technologically advanced, really first world, and there are parts of Mexico that are like that as well. So it's
Yes.
Hi,
Hey.
Chris.
Hello.
Finally, you're on.
Hello.
Oh, we can't hear
Yo,
you.
actually, can you say something?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, but another thing, it actually is a bit dark.
Yeah, I was. Let me try to put some light there. 1 second.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Is it better? Slightly.
Yes.
Yeah, slightly
slightly.
better.
Hello. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was listening to you. You totally understood what it's about.
Thank you. Phew. Right.
Okay. So let's kick things off with your surname.
Yeah.
Like,
Please enlighten us.
yes, enlighten us, or just tell us a bit about like maybe your name and your family, or
Yeah, definitely. So Christopher, actually, it should be said China, but it's written the same way as China.
Okay.
I like to talk about it to say that my family was the family that founded China, but that's not true. It's totally random.
There's some deep bloodlines.
It's totally random. I'm born in France. And my father and my mother emigrated from Benin, which is a country in West Africa between Nigeria and Togo. And there you have the family China, which has nothing to do with China. It's just a name from there. So,
family name China is not common, or it is?
It is. I mean, it's not the biggest family in the country, but we are quite a number. But there, it doesn't mean it has nothing to do with the country. And actually, Benin, where my parents are from, is a French colony. So this is now they moved to France, and I'm born in France. But if you think about it, China, the country, is an English word. It's not a Chinese word, which would be Zhongguo, and it's not a French word, which would be Xin. So over there, it
has nothing to do. Basically, it's the same spelling, but nothing to do with the country at all, right?
No, it's pure coincidence. And my brother visited China, I think 7-8 years ago, and I was hoping that they would give him a prize or something, but nothing. They didn't seem to.
But I mean, it's a great kind of conversation piece of people actually remember you, right? I would take that people remember you and your name.
Actually, I was working in Asia at some point, in Cambodia and also a bit in Thailand, and people used to remember me as China before remembering me as Christopher. So I think
there you go.
Because it's easy, because it's like something odd. And you just put it,
conversation piece, right?
Well, so you have been in Southeast Asia, like where we are from, like Cambodia.
Actually, I have been exactly where you're from, and I almost worked in Singapore. After finishing in Cambodia, I went to do an interview for a French bank in Singapore. Things went well. I spent 2 weeks there. I had a great time, and I was supposed to come back to start the work. And meanwhile, the French bank, from its headquarters, decided to freeze all the hirings, and therefore I didn't start the job. And then I went back to Europe.
Well, you look like you will completely love it in Singapore. Like,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
yeah, because like we have so many like international friends in Singapore, and you feel like completely like one of them. Like like you fit right in.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
With a name like China, come on, man.
Maybe
No, but okay.
in
So you did enjoy your time there, the 2 weeks that you spent.
yeah, 10 days. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed
Okay.
it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that means you're really well traveled. You have been like Europe, Asia, now Latin America. Like, so you hit every continent already, or what?
I miss Australia.
Oh, okay. Well, you should have gone there when you went to Singapore. Down under.
Africa also. Yeah, I was also working in Africa for some time.
You were living in Africa.
Yeah, for 2 years and a half, almost 3 years in Kenya.
Oh, in Kenya.
Right.
Okay.
And so, do you still have family in Benin?
I do. A big part of my family is in Benin, and then another big part is in France, due to the fact that Benin was a French colony. So a lot of them came to France. And then I have families here and there, in Germany, in other countries in Europe, mainly a bit in Canada too. But the big part is France and Benin.
So the Benin people, they actually immigrated everywhere.
No, mostly they immigrated in France, a bit more in French-speaking country, and then some people in my family, but I would say 5 or 10%, went in other countries to try their luck as well.
Right, makes sense. I mean, they speak French, and
Yeah.
yeah. But how come your English is so good?
Thank you.
Did you learn it? Did you learn it growing up, like in Benin?
No, actually, so I'm born in France.
Oh, sorry, yeah, yeah, I remember that.
And I went to a high school that was a bilingual high school, actually, that prepared us to, after graduating, we could go to university in England, in the States, or continue in France. So
Right.
it was a bit intensive in terms of half of the studies were basically in English, and then the rest is just a bit of traveling and speaking the language in business.
Yeah, because your English is good. Like the grammar's on point.
Yeah.
And everything. Sometimes
Yeah.
if you're speaking like a different language that's pretty close, then you have a lot of like different like non-English speaker kind of ways to
Yeah, to
express, but
express
you are
English.
pretty much
Yeah.
like an English speaker.
Thank you. For the first 10 minutes.
Then afterwards
We'll see how the rest.
yeah.
We're gonna see how the rest of the interview goes. Yo, Chris, I mean, straight up, man. Okay, so what is the difference between a micro loan and a normal loan?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question. The most simple way to define it would be the size. Loan, microloan is a tiny loan. That would be the most simple way, but there's more to it. There's a bit of dispute to the origin of microfinance, but many people retrace it to the 70s in Bangladesh, by a person called Muhammad Yunus, who won actually the Nobel Prize for this, and who basically realized in that time in Bangladesh, there was a bit of segregation of women, stay at home, they wouldn't go out for reasons, for local habits, and they still made products, they still made business. So I recommend you read the book, it's very interesting. He went to knock at the door, he couldn't see the woman, but he would discuss with them. And they wanted to make project, and they needed small loans to make this project, but they didn't have collateral, because generally the collaterals were in the hands of the husband. So basically, why don't you form a group of 5-6 women, you take the loan together, the microloan, and if you default, the 5 other people in the group would be the guarantee for you. So there was this solidarity mechanism, which is one of the methodology which is used in microfinance, and that some people say started there. And therefore, you could lend to these people who didn't have collateral, which were, we can say, poor people, but still had good project. And then microfinance grew with different type of methodology, but the idea is it's really a financial inclusion tool for people who don't get access to normal banking, who do not have collateral, but still have a good project. There's also a bit of dispute on the record of microfinance, but some people argue that sometimes micro borrowers are even better payer than normal borrowers, because as an institution, you will evaluate more the project than the collateral. And that's a very interesting data.
That is very interesting, and this thing that you mentioned about Bangladesh, I think that was the video that I was talking about. I mean, it was a whole thing that became really popular, right? And so, what are the other one way you mentioned is like you get a group of people to actually take the microloan, right, and diffuse the risk. But what other methodologies do you use?
Microfinance has evolved, and so one is the group methodology. You do also get individual loans, but just at a smaller size. There's been a mix of methodologies. Some institutions might ask for collateral, but a lower collateral. Some of us will just not ask for any collateral, although it's an individual loan. So as of today, there's been a lot of innovation. The latest is coming with the fintechs, where they will use other data. Fintech is like financial technology, so financial institutions that use a lot of technology, and then might even analyze the behavior. For example, in Kenya, where I was working, there was a telecommunication company that allow people to get a wallet on their phone. So people will go to the shop, they will buy with their phone, maybe they will send some money back to their parents who are living in the rural area. And when you look at the data on the phone, you have so much information, financial information about that person, about how that person was behaving, shopping, buying, that it was even more powerful than any collateral or any statement. So people some companies use new data enabled by technology. You can even create a profile of a person by the way interact on Facebook, and interact on his social networks, because it tells you a lot about the person. And sometimes it's even more trustworthy than the typical financial analysis.
Right.
So,
well, like some developing countries, they there are people who are not completely online. Like in some, there are people who don't even have bank accounts and all that. So how do you gauge the risk to whether to give them a financial loan or not?
Again, different methods, but maybe coming back to this example of Kenya, which I think is a very interesting one. I grew up in Europe, and I would say 30 years ago still, I remember using the phone with the line. And then came the mobile phone. In Kenya, they didn't, in general, for most of the population, they didn't use the cable phone. They directly jumped to mobile phone. And the adaptation and much higher than it was in Europe. So the company I was telling you about has made a leap forward in terms of analyzing financial behavior through mobile phone. And it can be a very simple mobile phone. You don't need an iPhone. You don't need a super Samsung. You just get a small phone, Nokia from the ages, and you get information. It sends a code. It reflects how much the person has on its wallet, which is a virtual money. That person goes to the shop. It transfers it to the wallet of the shop, and then it gets its product. So I think it's a wrong perception to think that they are behind technologically, at least in terms of mobile phone adoption, basically.
I guess it's like place by place. You see what they are working, what you're working with, and then you can see how to gauge, right?
No, but it's a very interesting point, because what you're saying, at the end of the day, these institutions are looking at someone that they trust, right? I mean, it boils down to that, right? I mean, like in terms of lending money.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with trust, and I think that's something we had lost at some point in developed countries, with banks basically.
So interesting, right?
Bank would ask you for tons of papers, try to get an apartment in Mexico. You need to have someone who's guaranteeing the apartment, who also has a property in Mexico. It's almost not even about what you can bring, but rather the collateral or the collection of guarantees that you have. So the same thing happened in banks, and you will see people that are less well off, who didn't have collateral, who also might feel intimidated to work in this building where they don't think maybe they don't belong. So microfinance institutions are different. They have a lot of officers who go to the field, who go to visit the house of the person, who go to visit its project, who talk with people around, and then they make a profile and an analysis. There's much less document. So a lot of it has to be also on the character. There's a big analysis on the character of the person.
That is so interesting, because a lot of it, okay. I mean, there are so many points that I feel so interested to actually go into. I mean, like one major thing is this thing that you mentioned about these developing countries, and about how they've kind of leapfrogged in a way certain technological points, right?
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's actually kind of in a way, it's very difficult to gauge which country is modern or which country is going to be easier to kind of work with, right? I mean, I guess the impression that I'm getting is kind of like this new age of, or even this topic about microfinancing and about dealing with people and kind of really finding out each person and the activities of each person becomes almost more important than ability to show, look, I have this collateral, or I have this amount of assets and things like that, right?
And even like physical cash.
Yeah.
True. And I mean, I give you two examples, and what you say has a lot of echo. I think, Wayne, there is development based on the macro definitions, what is the GDP, how much is producing. That's one way of looking at development. But you're right, we're in an age where there is every time more and more decentralization. I think this is one way of decentralizing and not relying on a big bank with a big structure, with a big building. Now you're really decentralizing. It makes me think in a way of Uber also, for so long you had taxi, and now you go to the peers to peers, basically, where and it penetrates much more the places, and there's an easier adoption. For real, I think that's another way of looking of what we can do and the way we can do it, with new types of infrastructure which are much more flexible, basically.
But Chris, let me ask you this, right? And this is actually a sentiment that is quite, I would say, recent also, with this whole thing about, in relation to fintech, right? Financial technology and for example, in China, and this social scoring system that they have, right? In a sense, it is a kind of a new evolved version of this technology, which the government, in this sense, is using to kind of monitor each person. Yeah, I mean, control, monitor,
Yeah.
So this, what you mentioned just now, is kind of similar, right? Where you use the example of someone who has a simple phone in an African country, and this person is making a lot of whatever, he's buying stuff and he's doing his stuff, and newer companies are looking at taking this information, this technological information, and using it as in part of their data, right?
Exactly.
What do you feel about this this whole thing about China and that whole the way that social scoring system, and about how it kind of bleeds into a lot of different areas, right? Like,
that's a very interesting topic, and I've heard about it. I haven't been to China myself. I've heard about this social score that basically you get. I think there's a pro and there's a con, and maybe I will be a coward and I'm not going to speak about China itself, but I'm going to speak of how you give information to your phone, because that has to do with privacy. Like there's new tools, like you get your watch that is intelligent, smartwatch, and that tells, you accept to give information, it monitors how much steps you're going to do in the day, how you're going to run, how you go to the gym, and all that, and it gives you information. Someone is having this information somewhere, the operator of the system. So you accept to give that information. We could say that in terms of privacy, maybe there's an issue, but when you do it. On the other hand, it will allow you to get insight in terms of your health that you would not get just by getting to a doctor once every 3 months, or I don't know. So it's kind of an exchange. I prefer when it's done on a private basis than on a public basis where maybe you don't get the choice. And this is what I get is in China. But if we go back to other, even Facebook, Instagram, you often hear that you are the product, basically. Everything that is free, you are the product because you give so much information. Fair enough. And then you wonder why, because yesterday you talked about going to Colombia and you get an advertisement about a plane the next day. So you can think, they're infringing on my privacy. On the other hand, you get much more precise data about things that you're looking for. So it's kind of, I would say it's a kind of an exchange, and each one has the ability to decide where is the barrier, how much you want to give and how much you want to receive.
Yeah, because when you mention this microfinancing companies can actually use this information that each person, that they get from a person using their handphone.
Yeah.
It just felt like maybe is that the direction that the future is kind of headed, like I have heard this quote that if you want to look at the West and see what it's going to be like in the future, you look at China right now in terms of what's going on there.
Yeah, they are a lot more forward than the rest of the world in different things.
In different ways.
People have mentioned,
Yeah. So that's very interesting, Chris. Can you talk a bit about so this finance stuff is, I know it's one part of your interest. I guess you studied for it also, but you mentioned in our talk yesterday that there's this other part that actually draws you, and it's kind of like what you're actually doing here in Mexico also, right? Like you are looking at developing countries, and this has always been a kind of an interest for you, right?
No, definitely, and it was a combination of two interests. I think on one side, I was following what my parents, what the society wanted me to do. I did my studies. Business was a good thing to study, and then finance was a good thing to study. So I followed this path. But in terms of experience, in terms of internship, in terms of what I wanted to do, I was always driven by going outside, going to developing countries. I think my first, when I joined university, I took a year off and I went to work with the street kids in Peru, in Lima. Totally different from what I was doing with business. Very slow. I was with an NGO. And it was a wonderful year. I always say I learned more there than I received more help than I gave, because the interaction is fabulous.
Wow.
But it was small incremental steps. How do you succeed that a kid get out of the street and go back in a more formal way? Some succeeded, some didn't, some succeeded and fell back in the street. And I was thinking, this is great, and it's necessary, but it's so small, and is there a way to combine business, what I'm learning, and these social actions? At the time, theories about impact investing, which is the industry that I'm working on, or social business, were not really formalized. They were starting. You had the NGOs that were receiving money, donations, and that were making actions, and you had the business. And then you had the business that were paying their taxes, and then the government supposedly has to make social project to help the people. That's how the society was functioning. In the US, it was a bit different because you might have, it's more a US tradition, very rich, well-off person, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they make their money, they arrive at a stage, and then they say, okay, I'm going to create a foundation and I'm going to give that money. But what if we could shortcut making money and having a social impact? And that's the idea of social business.
Mhm.
And that's the idea of a good microfinance institution. How can I lend to the poor to help them get out of poverty?
Mhm.
How can I, today it's more unnecessary, how can I create cars that pollute less and maybe that are electrical, not to have a bad impact on the society, rather than make a car that pollutes, and then trying to find a way through the government to make the climate better. So basically, impact investing or social business is this idea, and this is what has driven me in my career. So after working with the street kids in Peru, I went to work in India with Tibetans that are in exile in India, in what was not called then as a social business, but which was really a social business for the Tibetan cause. Then I worked with the French Development Agency, which is the arm of the French government for project of development. And slowly, I made my way, came back to Europe. I worked more in the financial industry, and I combined my skills, and then the industry was starting to emerge. And that's how finally I started to work in what I'm doing now, which is basically investing in those social projects, but for a financial return as well as a social return. It's not donations.
Okay, so that's really interesting. And how does that happen? Like at the current company that you're working for, and you mentioned that you're actually looking for projects that make the most social impact,
Yeah.
and also something that financially makes sense, right? I mean, obviously, it has
I
to
mean,
balance.
your company's not an NGO, and like I think it's actually like when it comes to businesses, you also need to make sure that like if it will actually work, because if not, it's not going to give that positive impact as well. Provide
Yeah.
jobs and be functional. Yeah.
True. No, totally. I think um, the good thing about business, I mean, there's a lot of good things about business, but one of the good things that I see compared to projects that are funded only by donations, and I think everyone has his position. I'm not
Yeah, of course.
one against the other, but I'm saying that the efficiency that a business needs to keep on existing in making profits almost ensures that you're going to have to implement the most efficient processes. And if you can implement the most efficient processes also in the development world, also in the social world, I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And even almost it might even be more important, right, in a developing situation, right?
You might argue that, or if I tell you that, and there's a very interesting story that happened apparently in the U.S. during the Vietnam War. There was a lot of people, a lot of groups that were against the war, against the industry of armaments, of weapons in the U.S. And these groups were manifesting, in those times there was a lot of, they were very vocal about what the US was doing. And then they would put their money in the bank, but they had no idea what the bank was doing with the money. And then they inquired and they realized that the bank was, to ensure that they had a return on their deposit, were investing in the industry of armament. So their money was going against their action, but they had no understanding of it. So I think the purpose of investing is to say to people, imagine you want to keep money for your retirement, you want to put it in a deposit product that gives you a financial return. But imagine that this money was also generating social good or fighting against climate change. I think that's a fantastic proposal, I mean, it makes you feel good and makes something good, but you don't have to give your money and not see it again, which was the former model. Now you can do both at the same time, I would say.
A good social business really like gets larger and larger. Like it puts out a lot of positive energy. It can survive on its own and continue doing that.
Yeah.
So like, because we have like, maybe 10 minutes more or stuff, like we will also like to ask you like how it has been for you living in Mexico and, the Mexican experience in general. Yeah.
In general, I love it. I arrived in 2017 and I've had a blast. I love the culture. I love the geography. I mean, we're between the States, the Caribbean, and Latin America. I love the food. I love the climate. I mean, I could go on, but there's so much to love about Mexico.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Mexico is really special, right?
Yeah.
It is.
And currently, you're working for a Dutch company. And are you looking at Mexico as, I mean, potential clients or potential business here?
Yeah, we actually, from here, we work with the full continent, from Mexico all the way down to Argentina, including the Caribbean. So I'll be regularly traveling to those countries. We also have a few clients in Mexico as well.
So let me just ask you this, just off top, like I mean, there's a lot of buzz now about, the inflation rates and everything going crazy, and this thing about recession and things like that. And what are your thoughts? I mean,
As a finance
as
guy.
a finance guy, get some information.
Not an economist, finance guys.
True.
I mean, the mechanism are a bit intricate, and I don't think the idea here is to make an analysis, but it's true that inflation is high, and I sometimes feel that people don't fully grasp what it means, inflation. You just hear it's 8%, 9%. If you know a bit more, you can understand that the prices are going higher up, but you may not notice it from one day to the next. You may feel at the end of the year that, the bread is costing a bit more, tortillas is costing a bit more. I'm very concerned about inflation because basically, very, very simply, let's say the inflation is around 8%. It means that the basket of good, typical basket of good, is going to increase by 8% by the end of the year. Let's say I'm working in a company and my employer gives me a raise of 5%.
Right.
Or let's say I'm putting my money in the bank and they promise me a return of 7%. And I'm very happy if this sounds real. This sounds very, very good. Well, actually, at the end of the year, I've lost 1% because I get my money is worth 7% more, but the cost of things is worth 8% more. So my purchasing power has decreased by 1%. So what I want to say about this is inflation is a very serious topic. And sometimes, because generally we're not financially educated, that's not what we learn at school, general programs, we kind of miss the point. And it can go further. I mean, of course, you have countries who had a very high inflation. Argentina now is at levels that is incredible. Venezuela, we all know they had a crisis, but that inflation was an issue where basically your money from one day to the next is not worth anything. So it's but you can also think in the medium or the long term. You think that you're going to need to save that much for retirement. That's based on your knowledge of the cost of today. But if inflation it's not always like this. These times are a bit harsher. But if it's 8% every year, after 10 years, to make a linear calculation, it's 80%. When you finally retire in 20 or 25 years, you suddenly realize that what you had put aside to, I don't know, for 20 years or 25 years is not only going to be available for 15 years, or maybe you need to live at lower level than you expected because you didn't factor that the prices will increase.
Prices will increase, right.
And sometimes, I don't know if that's the case in Mexico. I cannot speak for sure, but sometimes I do see elderly driving Ubers and working, and I'm thinking, what happened here? What didn't work? Is it because whatever they had put aside didn't make it all the time that they were thinking about, and now they realize that they still need to work in order to make ends meet? So very, very important topic, I think.
So you have given us a lot to think about, and educated us quite a bit, I would say. But we have reached the end of the show. Production is telling us to end it already. But we would like to tell everyone that we have a gig tomorrow. Come down to our show. It's at El Bodi in Roma, and we're going to play around 8:30 or something like that. I hope Chris will come too. And
Chris, come on down, please.
Yes,
and not doing anything yet.
So we're going to sign out. Our tagline is called "Activating Your Senses." And Celestine Angel.
I'm Isaac Rakesh.
And that's Chris, China, sorry.
It was a
And
privilege.
Thank you so much, brother. It was really interesting.
Thanks to you.
so activating your senses.
Senses. Peace.
Entrando por tus oídos hasta llegar al centro de tus emociones, ADR Networks está en este momento
activando tus sentidos.
That's orange show.